Hi, hello. J-Lo recently hosted the American Music Awards of 2025 about 4 days ago, or like seven, depending on when I post this. And it was a mess. I don't know about the music awards, but her performance was a mess. I'm sure she was a fine host in all of her 8 outfits or whatever. But yeah, anyway, so J-Lo performed at the American Music Awards and it was a mess. It was a thematic mess. I think it was the perfect encapsulation of what is going on with mass entertainment right now, in that it was shallow and it felt like actual visual brain rot. And I feel like the performance certainly could have been stronger if, first and foremost, if baby girl could move any part of her face besides her mouth and her eyelids. Like, her forehead does not wrinkle when she's hitting like a B36 or whatever they're called. Like, whatever note that is, her forehead does not wrinkle, and she's supposed to be giving us vocals, and I would think your face would contort a little bit more with that, but maybe she's just such an amazing vocalist that she doesn't even have to exert effort or muscles to do so. Anyway, yeah, the show was a thematic mess. So JLo starts with Dance Again, which I get it because we're starting the show off with like this really weird intro.
Welcome to the multiverse of tomorrow's American Music Awards. This evening, you will experience such sensations as joy, love, sex, dance, and most importantly, music.
And I just want to say, first of all, what is the multiverses of tomorrow's American Music Awards? Multiverse. I did a plural. It's multiverse. The multiverse of tomorrow's. Still, what is the multiverse of tomorrow's American Music Awards? Like, it seems like we just took words that we think would fit and we put it in there, but that's kind of the whole performance. But whatever. Anyway, moving on. After like that intro, she puts on like this visor, like helmet, like clearly we're going for this like futuristic multiverse like aesthetic, I guess. And it's supposed to be giving sci-fi, but I just feel like it didn't even match her outfit, which was really weird. And her outfit was a custom-made circuit board catsuit, designed by Michael Nago. I might have said that wrong. I'll put his name on the screen, but I might have said that wrong. But it's this like custom circuit board, which that in and of itself was a mess. Okay, as I already said, Jennifer Lopez wore pretty sure 8 outfits to this award show. I don't know who gives a fuck about the American Music Awards, but I digress. So she wore like 8 different gowns to this, and she wore someone's couture. But I think it's so fucking annoying when celebrities wear other people couture, like other like when celebrities wear couture that's not theirs. And I know it's like stupid because it's like, well, like couture is like part of fashion. It's like couture means made for you. So like it's so fucking cheap to me when other celebrities wear it, but whatever. I digress. Moving on. So she has this custom catsuit and it's supposed to be like a circuit board, but like much like the rest of Miss JLo's performance, it just lacks contrast, which is stupid because it's like a flesh like mesh with like black circuitry, like sections of circuitry. I'm shaping this area because it's only really on her biddies, her kitty, and then like her calves. um but she has like this really weird suit, and it's supposed to be giving this circuitry, and it's like clearly, I don't know, I assume it's like hand embroidered or whatever, hand studded with diamonds or whatever the fuck they're supposed to be, but it looked so cheap. And like that's not like, I mean, that sounds like a slight against the designer. Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Nago. I'm sorry, I'm also probably saying your name wrong, but like, I'm sorry, but it just looks super fucking cheap. It did not look good on her at all, because like where the panel sat it was just so uninteresting. The whole piece was so uninteresting. She looked a little bit better in some of her other outfits, but I don't care. I really don't care about her hosting it. So she's wearing the circuit board catsuit, which looks a little familiar, perhaps, to someone, but who's to say? I don't think that's fair to just say that a woman can't wear a flesh catsuit, because someone else did. And she's never dressed like this, and it's not like illegal or like unethical in an artistic sense to like dress outside of your brand. In fact, I think it's good to encourage us to do so. However, this aesthetic is clearly shifting us towards a theme of like future, again, future multiverses or multiverse of tomorrows, plural tomorrows, I guess. So clear, like we're going for like futurism and like circuitry and like tech. I assume that seems to be what we're giving, but I don't I don't think that happened at all. So like while we're establishing this futurism theme, it doesn't reflect in the dance or in the music. Like, yes, the music was a medley of artists who are winning awards in 2025 and shaping the landscape of like music moving forward. But I would say that like this theme did not translate at all in like the music itself. Like I don't know, I know JLo didn't mix. I know she didn't mix the medley. Like I would be very surprised if JLo had any hand in mixing the medley. So I'm not gonna give her that, or like I'm not gonna like hold that against her. And if she did have a hand in picking the medley, well then she did a horrible job at mixing it. But whatever, I digress. So I would say the part of the performance that like utilizes this theme at all, besides like in like the shitty like dress, actually I take that back. The background dancers looked pretty good. Like they looked pretty good because they had like really sick like black pieces and it covered more skin, and like I'm not trying to say like JLo should cover up, like she looked really good. Like it's really common nowadays, well it has been forever, but like especially right now, for like celebrities to be starving themselves, specifically women. Not looking at anyone in particular, of course, but JLo looked really like pretty healthy. Like her body looked strong and it didn't look like emaciated. She didn't look like a bobblehead. That is not to say anything about the work on her face. Once again, it would have been nice if she could make a single expression besides like a little bit of a eyebrow scrunch and then her lips. That would have been cool, but whatever. You know what? Whatever. Anyway, what I was saying is the only part where I really think like the set incorporated this like future theme or whatever, or like the choreography did, was when these dancers are on. At first I thought they were robot arms. I don't think they're robot arms. It's like a stand, and then like they're like attached to it, clearly like probably on a what is that called, a harness, and they're kind of like floating and spinning. And first of all, I don't know who has a song where that is necessary. I'm gonna become more clear, but like I'm a big Beyonce stan. We love Miss Beyonce, Knowles Carter, but like Beyonce has robot arms, which we'll get to that. Also, she's not the only woman to ever use robot arms ever in anything. But moving on. But like, and she's got like floating cars and like horseshoes, and like in Renaissance she was like flying on her like diamond studded horse. Like, okay, the theatrics of that does feel like a lot. And you could definitely raise the point of like, is there a Beyonce song that really warrants that? I would say yes, but whatever. Certainly none of these songs warranted did a big old robot or a big old like mechanical structure to be flinging these men around. Like I just do not think that was necessary at all. And when you watch it, I mean the whole performance looks really sloppy, but whatever. But like when you watch it, you can see them mess up. And I understand that shit goes wrong in a show, okay? Our very best, our very most professional babes, the show messes up, especially when you only have one night to do it. Also, JLo got injured, apparently, in the rehearsals of this, so maybe that really set her back, but you can, like, when you watch it, you can see that, like, both of the dancers are supposed to take JLo's hands and, like, lift her up and, like, onto this platform, and only one gets to her hand. So you just have this really awkward moment of, like, oh, damn, like, the choreography, like, probably like the marking or like the blocking is messed up, which is like it's not that big of a deal. But I think what this is, like the bigger implication of that is having a really big, like having big ambitions. And by the way, this is still like not, it's not pivotal to the fucking show. Like we really could have cut this out, but like having like big ambitions and like wanting to wanting to show the talent and skill of a Britney, of a Beyonce, of like these really big, or of like a Jackson, a Prince, like these, performers, these fucking performers, but not having the humility to understand that you can't do it. Like, not having the humility to understand that you cannot do it. And not just in a sense of like you can't do it ever, but like that this isn't the time or place to be doing it, and that you clearly just cannot execute it in the way. Like, I have a hard time believing that rehearsals happened and we watch this back, which I would hope we're watching it back. We should be recording this, and like the director, the camera did a really good job, so I assume that they rehearsed it like with a camera. You cannot tell me, well, you can actually, because I saw it happen. I think it's stupid to tell me that you watched this back, that we collectively, as the performers, watched this back and we decided that this was doable. Because, like I already said, like like there's so much of nothing. In this instance, like what I'm talking about is we have these like really big robot, like we have not robot. They're not. I don't think they're robots. I think they're just mechanical. Like they're not like programmed or like whatever. I'm pretty sure they were manned by other dancers. But you have like this like big like ambitious shot, I guess we'll call it, of like these two dudes spinning around on this little harness thing, and of them like holding like Jennifer Lopez's hand and then like pulling her up, and like it's supposed to be like this really sick moment of like I guess for lack of a better word, like just choreography and like performance, but you didn't do it, and that's fine because it's like, okay, bitch, get up on the stage, go produce something, okay? I'm not saying I can. Well, one day when you see me producing like the best shit ever, I don't want to hear it. Anyway, I just have a hard time believing that we watched the rehearsals and that we nailed it on the rehearsal. I do have a hard time believing that because there's so much shit, and like adding on to that and expanding on that, like it's incredible how much stuff there was without having any substance. There was a lot of dancing, and like I'm not trying to be rude, like there's a lot of choreography. I think that's a better way to say it. There's a lot of choreography. There's a lot of moves happening throughout the whole show, but like not a single beat was hit. Okay? I don't want to sound like a rude. I am going to sound rude. This whole thing is rude, so I guess I do want to sound rude. But it just felt really amateurish, but it felt like it had the ambition of someone who could do better, if that makes sense. Like what I was seeing, or like what I was noticing, is that there's a lot of dancing and like all this moving, but it's not progressing the performance forward, if you know what I mean. Maybe not. Like in like particularly there's like this point where Miss Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, the only line in Texas Hold'em, and then there's like a whip sound, and J Lo like doesn't hit it, which again it happens. Like it happens. Like stuff goes wrong on tours. Like stuff goes wrong in general, especially when you only have one night to perform. But again, what I'm saying is that like there's no way you watched that back in rehearsal and didn't think like we should be cutting some stuff out. But I can say there's actually is saying no way is not true, because if there had been a way, it would have happened. And like on top of like the over like dancing like or the over choreography of the performance, JLo tends to have this like issue where she dances like a backup dancer, if that makes sense. Like she dances like a backup dancer who's finally had the opportunity to like shift to the front and is really trying to prove that she can get this fucking solo. Like that is not to say that she's not impressive and that she is not like it's not that is not to say that it's not amazing that she's doing these things. Like at 55, like oh my god, she looks and sounds and dances amazing. Okay? Like I am not going to take that away from her, but it's still clear that like she dances like someone who's trying to prove something. And just to really quick like reference her latest project, I think it's her latest project before this, which was the I am what was that called? J Lo. I want to be like I am love. It's not I am love. It's like oh my god, what's it called? Okay, sorry, hold on. I have to look that up. It's like the greatest love story. It was the accompanying It was the accompanying tour to her documentary that nobody cared about. This Is Me Now. Okay, oh my gosh. This Is Me Now, or it's This Is Me tour. I don't know if it was the full This Is Me Now. Okay, sorry. This Is Me Now. So that whole project, which was, oh my god, that was certainly interesting. The whole point of it was to be like, this is the greatest love story ever, and it's supposed to be a love story between her and herself, but then the movie ended with her getting with Ben Affleck. So, also, it wasn't the greatest love story for herself, it was the greatest love story back to Ben Affleck, and we see how that turned out. But whatever, I digress. So, the point of that, before I got distracted, the point of that is to say that even J-Lo's most recent project was a example of her proving herself and of trying to explain herself and be seen in not just an agreeable way, but in a way that she feels is right. Okay, sorry, that was a lot of projecting and a lot of assuming, but either way, a big emphasis on that movie was like, or the project, because it was a movie and the documentary, and a big theme of that was this, again, this is me, like, this is me now, like, she's telling us who she is, but it's also like, with love in my heart, no one really cares about who J-Lo is right now. Arguably, no, I would say they never did. They probably did in like the 90s, but ever since then, we don't care anymore. Deal with it. Honestly, you're better for it. You should stay out of the light, especially with the current, what's the word? Situation with a former fling of yours. Anyway, I'm moving on. Also, she kissed 3 of her backup dancers, which just felt really weird and out of place. And my friend was like, oh, like, she's copying Britney. And I'm like, I don't even get that. Like, I guess that makes sense. And media sources keep saying that, like, J-Lo made out with 3 of her backup dancers. Like, no, they did not make out. It was, like, just a really weird stage kiss. But it was weird. And it also just adds to that, like, and it adds to that level of, like, shallowness of, like, the performance. Like, I get it, we're performing. When we perform, we're performing, which means it's not always an accurate representation of, like, the mundane life they live. And what I'm saying is that, like, I don't know if that was supposed to be, like, a statement of, like, love wins, or if it's supposed to be, like, J-Lo's bi, or what, like, the statement was behind that. But it just felt really performative, but not in, like, an interesting, or what's the word, I don't know, it just felt really forced, but, and performative again, like, in a really lazy, and, like, look, like, I kiss girls too. It's like, girl, you're 55, I don't care who you're kissing, I do not fucking care. At this point, J-Lo still wants us to care about who she's kissing, and I just don't. With that, like, my biggest criticism is that this show felt like an accumulation of all the issues that I have with mass media and entertainment at large, and, like, once again, too much of nothing going on. Just way too much production with absolutely no direction except toward our dopamine receptors. Like, this was a show that was like Cocomelon. Like, it was like Cocomelon for my eyes. Well, I guess Cocomelon is also for your eyes if you are a child who sees and watches Cocomelon. But, like, so much media nowadays lacks story because story does not give us instant gratification in the same way that brain rot does, you know? So J-Lo's performance lacked a story, despite trying to set itself up as a narrative performance, because we had, like, this beginning of, like, welcome to the multiverse of tomorrow's American Music Awards. Sorry, I keep getting stuck on the multiverse of tomorrow's because it's so silly. And, like, this type of intellectual shortcoming seems much less acceptable in the digital age in general, because you have so much more access to information and archival, like, work. But more than that, when your contemporaries and probably inspiration is, like, the likes of a Beyonce Knowles Carter. Like, and I'm, like, not accusing anyone of copying or whatever, because even though the intro felt sort of like Loop the Sample from the Renaissance tour, or, like, the cat suit kind of felt like one of Mrs. Carter's their own cat suits, that's not fair. Like, that doesn't mean that it was influenced or inspired by it at all, like, especially with bad faith. But like we do influence one another, and whether or not like J-Lo threw ass at Beyonce's Renaissance and like took shit from there, or if like Nago didn't like, or if Nago did and like he was inspired by Beyonce, like I think that was that a no, that was not a Versace. I always think it's Mugler because she likes to work with Mugler. It was probably a Mugler piece. I don't know, but either way, so like just like it doesn't mean that like they were inspired by that, but like Beyonce specifically is an influencer of culture. It's like it's not absurd to take influencer like inspiration even unknowingly from cultural icons like her, especially when you are of like the celebrity class like J Lo is. What I'm saying is that while this show is clearly standing on the shoulders of other better artists, such as like Britney Spears, Beyonce, Doechii, even I know she's like not a contemporary of J Lo at all, but like Kendrick Lamar, like even Sabrina Carpenter, like it's clearly like you you have to be standing on these shoulders because they are like doing so much, and also you're at the American High, also you're at like the American Music Awards, and also all these singers are included in the medley that you're perform. Girl, excuse me, no. Oh, I don't remember what I was saying, but like, however, even though like she clearly, even though there like has to be some inspiration and influence, and there should be, it just like completely lacks individual artistic direction, so it just all ends up looking a little silly. And I'm also not trying to compare successful women or just artists in general, and I'm not trying to pin artists and performers against each other who so clearly have like different strengths and weaknesses. But what I want to like point to is that in the same age, I just want to reiterate, in the same age that you have a Beyonce Knowles Carter and a Janet Jackson and fucking Kendrick Lamar and like all these like I only listed three. There are way more. Twigs, FKA Twigs, a lesser known artist, but like still like of a lesser celebrity status, like still kind of within the class and the culture that you are a part of. Although no way J-Lo knows who FKA Twigs is. Anyway, despite the fact that I think J-Lo considers herself a fashion girly, but I could be totally wrong. I don't keep up with J-Lo. But anyway, so like you have these performers. Sorry, really quick. I really do think, now that I'm thinking about it, I do think that J-Lo should watch FKA Twigs because like a big thing for J-Lo is like athleticism, which understandable. Oh my god, that woman can move. Like if I had her body and her athleticism, I guess I would also flex my athleticism in my performance. But like understanding like how athleticism can be used effectively, but whatever, I don't care. But yeah, like what like anyway, so like at the same age you have like these incredible performers and artists. I feel like we see in Jennifer Lopez so much of what we see in other aspects of media and a lot of up and coming celebrities as well. Although I want to make it known that all new artists, like popular artist, does not automatically mean celebrity. Celebrity, in my opinion, is a class. Like, celebrity is a class. It's not just like, oh, they're popular on TikTok. It's like, no, like, celebrity is a class. You can be famous and not be of celebrity class. But whatever, that's a whole other thing. But what I'm saying is that we see this in like Jennifer Lopez and like new celebrities and like new famous people as well who are not quite to that class, is that they there's this pale imitation of the art that is art. Like it is truly an expression of like source or God or whatever you want to say. And it palely imitates that, and then while adding nothing to the conversation, it seems to also twist the words and intentions of some of the best contributors to that conversation. And relating to that, like the biggest discourse I've seen surrounding this performance is the usage of Not Like Us and TV Off and the weirdness around it, which having watched it, I agree. I agree. Obviously, I don't know if I'm the us of which is of referenced. I think there's multiple ways to interpret the they and the us and the they not like us, like who's like whatever. Although there is a clear they, but we'll get there. So used at the end, this becomes the medley and performance's final takeaway. Like it becomes the period. It's what you're left with. Like if nothing else, you'll probably remember that because it's at the very end. So this should be impactful. And because it was impactful when Kendrick Lamar used it for his performance. And the fact that Kendrick Lamar used it during his performance at the Super Bowl makes it more impactful already. Like, it's not just using, like, They Not Like Us TV off, okay? Like, she also used Squabble Up, which was also used in the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, which is interesting. But since it wasn't, like, at the end, it wasn't, like, quite so, like, what are you doing? Anyway, so it's already a decision to use They Not Like Us after Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show, which was an incredible statement and an incredible piece of performance art. However, the impact of Miss Lopez's performance it's lost, okay? It's lost, and even if the rest of the performance didn't totally suck and just lack direction, the ending certainly lacked, I would say, awareness in a lot of ways. First of all, who the fuck is Jennifer Lopez to say They Not Like Us? Bitch, you are they. You are they. And you did exactly what Kendrick was criticizing and commenting on during his showcase, during his art performance. You focused on the spectacle, the performance, the numbers, the popularity. You put Lamar's highest ranking diss track of Drake carelessly at the end of the Greatest Hits 25 medley. Not only would I argue that it's not her song to perform, although, I don't know, look at me. I don't really get a say in anything about, like, I understand. Like, I genuinely, like, this is just an opinion. Obviously, people are welcome to feel differently of all races and communities and identities, but certainly, like, I know I don't represent, like, a voice within the community of which Kendrick is a part of and of which he largely makes music for. Anyway, so I would argue that on a white woman's thought that why are you singing it? I would also argue that media parasites like J-Lo are the they. Again, you are the they. They are only attracted to fame, to glamour, to a lifestyle of gluttony and overconsumption. Even if it's not just like, okay, maybe J-Lo's not doing Shein hauls, but there's still this image of glamour which takes, like, it takes overconsumption of some sort. And they will do whatever it takes to get what they want of this ego drive of fame or glamour or, like, just gluttonous desire. Even if that means not doing the work that other more deserving artists are willing to do and that you are taking from. But whatever, anyway, that performance was lame, and I think that we should stop asking J-Lo to perform. Just kidding, she has a residency in Vegas, and there is enough abundance for everyone, and even though I think J-Lo is lame, I think it's perfectly valid that other people think she's inspiring. I don't understand it, and I think they're wrong, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, if you have any hot takes about J-Lo or this performance, please let me know in the comments below. Yeah, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you next time.